Hey there, sports fans! Welcome back to the Frostbite League. We are on the semifinal round with the Sydney Cyclones versus Manila Blizzard. I am your commentator, Saf. I'm here with Toma. Toma, how are you doing this evening?
Saf, I am so excited to be here. This being, teams that we don't really get to see and players that we don't get to see often in the Western scene. And for the two of us who typically commentate a lot of Western tourneys, I'm really excited to see what this region of the world is going to be showing off to us tonight, Sap. And a lot is at stake for these two teams. Right now, they're battling it out to see who's going to go on to grand finals against the Melbourne Vortex, Sap. But can you tell us a little bit about these teams before we get started? If you want to kick it off with Manila Blizzard and kind of some of the things that we know about them.
Yeah, Manila Blizzard coming into second place right now, Toma. Having a really strong roster here, a very aggressive roster at that. You have Brett and Tiger, who typically play together and also play on a team together in outside of the league as well, an official team. So very familiar with one another, instinctually able to position with one another very, very strongly. But you also have the follow-up coming in from Draco. Draco being a flex player on this team, Toma. I mean, it's important to have a good flex coming into your roster because the meta can really ebb and flow, as we know in this game and as we've known in the previous game as well. So having somebody that is able to pick up multiple things at once can be really, really important and be really crucial when it comes to comp building. And then you have Zal as well with that T-Tech. And you have Nehru and Puny as well. So definitely a super aggressive team coming out here on Manila.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other side, we have the Sydney Cyclones. And Sydney, Manila, this is actually back in week one. They played against each other. Manila came out on top during that set in a very close 4-3 set. So now it's time for their rematch. And for the Sydney Cyclones, this is definitely their chance to be able to prove themselves and show that they're going to be the team that wants to advance on to grand finals. And I think that one of the cool things that we've seen throughout this season, Saf, on the side of Sydney, they kind of struggled a little bit at first, and it wasn't really until they started playing off of Cooler. You really got to look at their Cooler player. Lumi, the support player of their team, is really going to be holding them together, Saf. And then other key players, we're really going to look at Mars on the Tetra dualies, going to be really doing a great job starting engagements for these teams, allowing people to go in and get picks. Link, another star player, they play Bucket, kind of switch around a few times to some other weapons as well, will be the person you see kind of going in, following up there. Kojuk is their anchor player on ballpoint, super duper strong weapon. I'm really excited to see other team members we've got here as well. MGJ gonna be on that 96 deco, gives them a little bit of an alternative to get in. If the Tetras aren't quite working out, if they're not finding what they need to get in, you've got that Kraken, and we've seen time and time again awesome Kraken plays. Saf, we know that can be a really great tool to be able to initiate fights, get into spaces, and create space. And final player I want to talk about, Kiss has mostly on Splash, but has been breaking out the Tent Umbrella recently, which I think is a really fun kind of off meta pick that you don't see happen that often, Saf.
Yeah, I love having a Tent Umbrella coming into the mix here, Toma, and especially looking ahead onto our match, we're going to be tower control on Hagglefish Market in our first roundup here. And Tent Umbrella, typically not, I think, what you would see, but if you're able to really maneuver the space that you have and maneuver the amount of turf that you're able to maintain, you can kind of have that Tent Umbrella pretty well stationed on that tower as a possible alternative. So if we're going to see that come out here, that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I mean, other than that, it seems like for the most part, these teams both run some pretty standard comps that we see happen in the competitive scene. We're going to be looking especially with Hagglefish Market at those two backlines that are going to be utilizing that tent area, watching the flanks for their team, and more than likely we may be seeing a ballpoint versus ballpoint matchup here, Sap. And ballpoint is so great at being able to poke on those sides, throw fizzies, do whatever they can to chip, add some paint, and just create lots of pressure. And of course, also the amazing inkjets that it has. And Saf, this is a really fun map for inkjet in my opinion. I think there's lots of cool angles that you can get around. I think playing around the two stacks on either side of mid to get really high in the sky can provide some really nice gameplay.
Absolutely, Toma. And one other thing too I'd like to point out is that ballpoint really is spearheading this meta right now. I mean, truly, like the kit itself is just absolutely bonkers with having that fizzy bomb as for so much poke, and as you were saying, that inkjet gameplay that has been coming out time and time again has been just exquisite to watch, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a very difficult weapon to master. It's one to be good at it, but it's a difficult one to master and to understand the movement and to understand different high points in the map and how that will affect you and where your shots are going to land as well. So with both teams having an inkjet in their back pocket in one way or another, I think it'll be interesting to see if that is something that gets left behind.
Yeah, I definitely am interested to see what these teams bring out. A few of them do have some other options for backliners in their pocket that they could potentially bring out, but I definitely think that ballpoint is probably going to be the one you see happening on this map. Alternatively, you could see Leader. Leader is definitely a strong pick on tower control. Haggle really being able to peer all the way down that other side and being able to just create a lot of pressure, stop people from coming down those flanks. Typically you see ballpoint here. We'll definitely see if any teams have some sort of surprises for us, which of course I'm always down to be wrong when I'm guessing comp stuff. I love to see people bring out some wacky pick that I wasn't expecting. I think that's part of a whole lot of the fun with Splatoon. There's so much diversity that you can run in these comps. Lots of players that are so talented and can flex from totally different weapons to new ones that I think could be so fun to see. But I'm really excited to see who's going to be winning here. And it's going to be I believe a best of 9 set here. So these teams are going to be wanting to get this first game under their belt to get some momentum in the sails as we get ready for this game here. Saf, I'm so ready. We're gonna see here on the side of the, I believe that's Sydney Cyclones here in the yellow, Manila Blizzard in the purple. We got those Tetradoles from Mars like we talked about, Link coming out with the sloshing machine, and we have our Zap for that cooler that we've been talking about in the 96 for that awesome Kraken. Saf, what are you seeing on the side of Manila Blizzard?
Yeah, we have ballpoint coming out here, Toma. We also see that V shot coming out as well, which is an interesting pick, I believe, coming out from Zalf. So you have a lot of pressure coming in from that Trizuka and a lot of range on your side there, but you also have the inkjet coming through, as we can see, coming from Tiger here, trying to defend this tower, taking Lumi down in the process here. I'm sorry, that's Bread actually on that inkjet there. You have Puny backing up right now, and you also have Zelf, I believe, coming back into this map as well. But the first few points on this board, Toma, are going to be taken by the Sydney Cyclones. We have a 3-down situation, though, as we're heading in to breaking this first checkpoint here. The Kraken launching itself off of the tower, unfortunately holding it for as long as they possibly can, but the 61 mark is where that push is going to end.
Absolutely, Saf. In the first checkpoint break, definitely nothing to scoff at in the first minute of the game, but by no means safe here on Hagglefish Market for an opening push. Right now, Sydney is going to be working their way back in, using this tactical or trying to find a way, but gonna go down there, that sloshing machine. Now, we're going to see Manila Blizzard getting their opportunity to make a break at this checkpoint. Puny there on the Zipcast, trying to create a lot of pressure, and they are going to be able to break that first checkpoint, take lead by just a few points, and see if they can ride this tower just a little bit longer. Just that shot left up finally goes down. Sydney now going to have the opportunity to go back into mid. They can claim a lot of space right now while Manila is on the respawn.
Yeah, and I loved what Zelf was trying to do there. They knew that they could bring the tower as far as they possibly could. They tried to jump into the Bats area to maybe take a fight there. Unfortunately, unable to retreat far enough. Tiger there throwing an excellent ink wall, trying to wall off that Reef Slider, but unfortunately to no avail, being taken down now. You have Sydney Cyclones with the tower in possession here. We have a little less than 3 minutes left, so definitely plenty of time to try to change the tides here. The Kraken going to be making appearance, taking Puny out. That tower is now on the move. We're making it to checkpoint number 2 right now, Toma. A lot of inks here to be had, though, by Sydney Cyclones. This side of the map is very yellow, and as that tower is going to be moving towards that second checkpoint, the Booyah is going to try to maintain a little bit of space in front there. The lead now being taken here by Sydney Cyclones. Unfortunately, though, I believe Manila Blizzard is going to be able to stop this push. That Inkjet coming down for great support. And you have Mars trying to break back into the mid area to take a fight here, but unfortunately going down in the trade.
Yeah, Mars at least able to get one back in, is going to be able to stall Manila maybe a little bit longer, waiting for their team to regroup, and you're going to see kind of this skirmish happening in mid as teams have to really kind of break through once again, which is going to require finding those picks. Now you have one down on each side. Zelf out with this Trizuka trying to find a pick, but Mars comes in from behind and Zelf spots it out, is able to at least trade it out. That's going to be great for them to not lose control of that mid area. Tiger trying to sneak in and make a play right now, but does get spotted out and is going to be spotted right now. Sydney trying to hold on to this ground. They've got the Kraken on line that they can use to make some space if they need to. They see these two members of Manila over on the side. Looks like they're going to choose to not engage, let the pressure just force them to jump out. And as this tower moves there, through to checkpoint 1, once again, you go 2 down on the side of Sydney, and now you're 2 down on the side of Manila. Just kind of trading back and forth, Saf, showing that these two teams really are super strong, fighting each other off. But right now, Sydney is going to be holding this momentum going towards this second checkpoint.
Yeah, and Toma, all the plays so far have just come down to really solid pushes. Both teams having an opportunity to get possession of the tower, and they keep the solid push until at least 1 or 2 people go down. But it is a solid, momentous push, Toma. There's a lot of points involved when these teams are pushing. But right now, with Sydney's on the defense here, you have Manila pushing this tower almost past that where that first checkpoint area was. But once again, the amount of ink that Sydney is able to maintain, even with the pressure coming in from Manila, is super crucial here, because now Manila is going to be ticking down this timer. Just 1 more point to go. The lead has now been flipped. Once again, you have Sydney Cyclones going in behind, but they are able to successfully get the wipeout on Manila, stopping that push at the 40 mark. They still have 6 more points to try to change this lead again, Toma, but with 10 seconds left, can they do it?
Yes, Saf, that is the question. They've got to play this right. They need to be sure that they can eliminate key players from the side of Manila Blizzard's defense to be able to create the space they need to get in. They've got to get those specials offline. The Zuka trying to take an aim at tower right now. You saw that Kraken go in. Mars is going in, trying to find a fight, but it's just the zap. The full wipeout happens. Manila defending up this tower is going to take game 1, Saf.
Yeah, and I'd love trying to see that Tetra kind of go off to the side to see if they could take a fight over there, but unfortunately, just in the overtime, that is not when you want to be making the trades, Toma. And sometimes it's hard to do, and sometimes that's all that you can do. But I think for Sydney there to try to make the, for Manila to try to make the comeback into the game, I think they had to be careful about where they wanted to take those trades and if they wanted to take them.
Yes, absolutely, Saf. And now we're going to be waiting for the counter pick on the side of Sydney and kind of looking at these maps that we have in the pool, Saf. If you were on their side, what would you kind of be looking at?
I feel probably Rainmaker, Toma. I mean, Rainmaker is usually a quick one to try to make up the points, and it's a good one for coming into the second game. Tower control kind of easing us into the flow of the battle, right? But then when Rainmaker comes in, it's a little bit more fast-paced. You get to change the pace of how the objective is going, versus where Tower is, it's a fixed pace. And so maybe that change of pace will kind of inspire a little bit more aggression and a little bit different of a type of play style here. Because both teams in that last game, Toma, I mean, they were all solid tower pushes. It was like no team held onto the tower for only a few seconds. You know, like every push that came in, it was a strong push, and there was at least a few points taken off. And so I think if they're able to bring that same kind of synergy into Rainmaker, we could see a real big difference going into this game too.
Absolutely, and I think a big thing with that too is how much they're relying on that cooler for their fights and for their movement. Obviously, even before Cooler really came into the meta, it always kind of had a little bit of a niche spot in Rainmaker due to that increased movement speed. But now, since it's really found its place in the meta and has become super strong, I definitely think that InZap pick, providing a lot of paint support and being able to just push out those coolers constantly for the team, could really become a really great pick for them in Rainmaker. And I'm excited to see what we're going to be doing with this sap. But it looks like actually we're going to be going to Cyclones Umami Ruins. Saf, I think this is another really fun map. I think this is the best double zone map, in my opinion, in the game. I really like the ledges around center in this map. I think they're really fun to be able to play around. I'm looking at that sloshing machine that we had last match as well. I think that it can really work well on creating pressure up around there, as well onto kind of the circle where those ballpoint splatling and anchor weapons may want to be playing. We're going to see what they're bringing to the table. We actually see the vanilla slosher coming out, another great pick, especially with those tri-strikes to put pressure on to the zone. Saf, we're going to be seeing what the rest of them roll out with. It looks like mostly pretty much of the same for everybody else loading into this game, but right now both of them are going to be making an early rush towards this zone, trying to see what they can get. Right now each team has control of their own zone there, but you're going 3 down on the side of Sydney. This is great for Manila to really start pushing up here. This can be a very lockout heavy map, Saf.
Yeah, I love seeing Puny on the Stamper here, Toma. This is an interesting pick for splat zones, in my opinion, especially on a double zones map where there is multiple fights that need to be taken. But Puny being a very aggressive Stamper player, this could work to the advantage of Manila if Sydney is unable to kind of combat it. But as I say that here, Sydney is actually going to make their stake in this game and get some points on the board here. And as you just said, this is a really easy map to get locked out on. I mean, as we can see right here, Manila trying to find their way back in. You can see all 4 players kind of strafing along that upper ramp area as the lead gets flipped into Sydney's favor here. You have Link trying to hold this middle position here, a good place for the longer range slosher to kind of be at, and especially with those tri-strikes at hand as well. But Puny's going to be coming in with the Zipcaster, taking the pick, looking for another fight, but is unfortunately escorted out as their special runs out. I mean, Toma, Manila's just trying to fight for their footing to come back into this map, but Sydney's not making it easy for them.
No, they definitely aren't, but Tiger may be the key here into breaking in, finds a great pick on MGJ and trying to fight it out here, but ultimately goes down. Sydney going to be able to hold on to this just a little bit longer. Bread here with that Inkjet going to be providing some excellent support, trying to find the pick on Lumi there at the insap, but they're going to be not successful in that. But now 3 down on the side of Sydney. This is going to be the opportunity for Manila to get back into this game. We've got Honey here making a move with the Zamper. They've got that Zipcaster on the ready to use. We've seen them make great plays. They've been making great plays with that all season long. Saf, they're going to be trying to find a way to kind of poke with those burst bombs, use this main weapon combo that's so strong to just create a lot of pressure to try to stop Sydney from breaking back in. But with the Kraken and the tri-strikes, they're at least going to be able to create something of a stall there on that left-hand zone, able to take down actually now 3 on the side of Manila Blizzard. It looks like they may be able to cap this zone and deal with Bread as they land, but no! Bread does not go down on that Inkjet return. They are going to stay alive, gonna keep control of these zones. Manila Blizzard giving it their absolute most here in this fight. Zalf trying to find a great pick, but goes down unfortunately to Mars.
Yeah, Manila's doing an impressive job of trying to maintain at least one zone, Toma. Even if they were lost in the team fight there, but Red holding it down and waiting for those jumps to come back in. I mean, they prevented so much time for Sydney to try to take these zones back here. Now finding ourselves in a 3 versus 3 situation as Link takes down another player off of Sydney and off of Manila, holding the middle ground once again. They really got to be careful of Link taking this higher ground, Toma, because that Slosher just has so much poking damage, and also with the tri-strikes as well, so much displacement and so much poking as well. The amount of ink coverage that Sydney is kind of holding on to is really good here, especially with Mars being on those Tetra dualies and trying to initiate some fights here in the mid area. But now with 2 members of Manila going down here, as they temporarily held onto that zone, you have another response coming in from Sydney.
Yep, and Sydney gonna be finding a great bomb pick there, kind of just trapping Putty there in the ink. Gonna be making it hard for them to be able to move around. Now they just need to be able to eat through this penalty, which isn't, you know, too bad to be able to start extending their lead. But Manila not gonna make that easy for them, taking out Mars, the Trizuka, finding the Slosher in the trade. They're 2 down on both sides. Now Bread there with the Inkjet getting a pick before returning as well. Gonna go down on that jump. It looks like this other jump gonna be canceled. Gonna allow Sydney maybe to create some space, get control of both of these zones potentially if they can win this fight right here. But they're gonna be forced to back up, losing one of their members, and they're just trying to paint. They're finally able to get it, able to keep this alive, and they're gonna be working through the rest of their penalty. Just the ballpoint up, Saf. Now Manila really needs to find a way to break back in fast to stop this zone from counting.
Yeah, that was an excellent time to get a triple, Toma, especially because only the ballpoint player was alive, so none of the aggression was available to try to contest anybody that was keeping paint on the zone there. So, I mean, that was just a snowball in Sydney's favor.
Yeah, and you know, that's how it goes. Like we said, this can be a lockout map, and we kind of saw both teams get locked out for a little while there, but both of them also just showing how strong they are with being able to break back in and create those really good scenarios for their team. I'm just so impressed by the gameplay we've been seeing here tonight, Saf, and I'm so excited that we could potentially see it go all the way to 9 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now with Sydney taking this win, I believe that brings us to a 1-1. Yeah, I believe it brings us to a 1-1. So, I mean, Toma, already from what we've seen so far, both teams want these wins. They want to win it. They want to keep going. And now we can see that up next, we have tower control on Sturgeon Shipyard coming out from Manila Blizzard as the counter pick. Now, a lot of verticality here, Toma. A lot of good spots for Tri-Slosher to get set up. A lot of good spots to get high up to throw Tri-Strikes as well. A lot of different little fighting corners, nooks, and crannies. What are you kind of expecting to see from Sydney Cyclones here from what we've seen so far?
You know, that's a great question here, Saf. I think that we're going to continue to see the 96 that can kind of push forward, create that space for the Crab as well. I think that Stamper is a really fun pick here as well. I think this is an excellent Zipcaster map, Saf. And I think that we can see that come out, use it to their advantage to be able to kind of get up in places that you may not be able to reach so fast, be able to move the other team's backline, especially if they bring out that ballpoint once again, and that could potentially be their key to, like, hey, we don't want that ballpoint staring at us, we don't want them to inkjet, we need them gone now, send a Zipcaster up there, and that can be a great way to deal with it. But also more V-Slosh, Saf. V-Slosh is so strong on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also thinking about Mars with the Tetra dualies as well, because that can be so good at initiating fights in the pit area and also in the mid area as well, just especially with having a little bit more of that sloping area. And especially if you have some aggression coming out from Link to kind of follow up if they happen to choose the bucket here, or if they are going to choose to backline. But it looks like because Kojuk isn't in this game, normally their anchor for Sydney Cyclones, Link potentially maybe on the ballpoint here, which, I mean, again, Inkjet is kind of the wind in the sails of this current meta that we have right now, Toma. So it's very common to see Inkjet coming out here, but to my surprise here, we actually have no Inkjet coming out in this round.
Not only no inkjet, we're seeing a switch off to that paintbrush, Saf. I believe that's the first time we're seeing that in this set here, and I think that's a really cool, fun weapon. Great pick in the or not the tri-slosh, so sorry, the sloshing machine from Sydney, which speaking of, Sydney going to be taking early control of that tower. Gets kind of caught out by this crab tank though, so going to be stalling them out a little bit, but the crab tank rolls away and finally gets picked. Look at this, Sydney in a great position. You've got that Trizuka there over on that grating of Manila. You've got Sydney in just an excellent position to keep a lot of pressure and try to go forward, but though they're gonna go down to the splatter shot there, Zalf's gonna pick off that tower rider, and finally they're gonna get the full wipeout, and now they're gonna be moving forward. We already see here Punny gonna be moving really fast here with this Stamper, trying to just create pressure and get ready for the entry of Sydney. Gonna be finding Lumi down there, finds a second. That's gonna be great for the momentum of Manila. Another one goes down. Mars has dropped. They're gonna be focusing their attention towards Mars, able to try to get it. No, so close. Mars actually finds the pick. They're gonna be breaking first checkpoint here, Saf, but losing those members, they may have a hard time unless they get in really fast. But you have to remember, Saf, that this is a fast-paced team on the side of Manila. They're gonna be rushing this. They've got the lead, 39, 2 points. They were able to flip that, and they're able to extend it even more here, finding a pick on Mars, and this is just absolutely insane. Punny is there. They may be providing in jumps potentially. No, they're finally gonna go down. That was just, wow, Saf, an incredible fight there, and every time I thought that it might be over, Manila just jumped in and got another pick when they needed it.
Yeah, Zalf taking out Mars there as Mars was coming back into the map was absolutely crucial, Toma. I mean, that gave them just a few more seconds with that tower and just a little bit more points on that board evermore. But Mars coming in, you're getting the pick, looking in for the second one, reef sliding, taking the trade here. The wipeout has occurred for Manila. Now we are going to see the lead flipped once again into Sydney's favor there. Mars taking two absolutely crucial fights while the other teammates are following up, keeping the tower safe and also keeping the zap safe on the tower as well. The Booyah Bomb to follow up here. The wipeout is going to flip, though, on its heads into Manila's favor. They're going to stop that push at the one Toma. However, with 2 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock, Manila basically has to KO.
Well, you know, Saf, here's the thing. This map, that's always possible. This map snowballs so hard, and we saw that with how Sydney was able to just charge in and get that push to 1. So while a lot of other maps, if there was a push to 1, I might be like, oh, you know, it's looking a little shaky for the other team. Here, anybody is still in this game, especially if they can just get those picks at the right time. Lumi here trying to get behind and stop Manila's offense, but they're doing a great job finding picks, and they were 2 down. You've got to be careful. Honey there on the zip caster, trying to find what they can, but gets picked on their jump. Tiger, though, following up, able to get in here and finish off that fight that was started, able to take down another. It's just Mars up left for Sydney. This may be their opportunity. They need to find the pick on Mars, and they need to stop Sydney from getting back in. Bread pops this crab tank, trying to see if they can distract or get some picks. 2 down on Sydney. This is still going. Our Honey is there fighting. Mars is still the only one up, but Saf, no one is on that tower. It's slowly returning to mid. An excellent fight there happening, but they weren't able to really create a push off of it without anybody on that tower.
Yeah, I like that Tiger didn't take tower and just kind of waited there. They threw that curling bomb in. They knew all the members of Sydney were going to be on the respawn, and they just tried to break in there to provide a little bit more distraction here. But the tower still being in Manila's control. You have 3 members down now, Toma. Only the splash from Bread being alive now. Oh my goodness, I'm having trouble with names this evening. I was calling Punny Puny. Their name is Punny, everybody. Anyways, Punny's zip casting has been absolutely phenomenal here, providing so much distraction, but also a lot of aggression coming out. But Mars, once again, being successful in the fights, though, here, Toma. Not only getting the assist, but providing a little bit of distraction here for a different fight to be taken as well. So Manila, once again, having tower in their control here. There's 9 seconds left for Manila to try to take Sydney away from this tower, but it seems that the members are a little bit staggered right now, Toma.
Yep, they're definitely trying to, when that timer is counting down, you have to get your feet planted on that tower. And when, it's in your enemy's territory and there's all of that enemy ink around it, it can be really, really rough to find your way in. But what an exhilarating match there, Saf. There was so much back and forth in that. And I want to talk about Mars for a minute on the side of
Me too.
Sydney. Absolutely a star player, and every time that I noticed there was one up on Sydney, it's always Mars. Mars was the final one. Mars was there defending tower to the bitter end or pushing tower to the bitter end. I'm absolutely impressed by their survivability. They're really using those dodge rolls and the pressure that the Tetra Dualies have to their advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. The aggression that they had throughout that entire match was absolutely crucial, Toma. They were not only were they taking essential trades, but they kept assisting as well. And one thing I really want to point out is that, sometimes it's easy to get frustrated when you play solo and you get frustrated at only assists that people have. But that's crucial to the team fight, right? Like that you need to get that poking damage in order to be successful in winning some of your fights sometimes. And when you see those little assist bubbles come up, like you know that you did something. You helped. You don't know what happened, but you know that you helped at least. And so I think that was kind of key for Mars, and I kept seeing a lot of assists coming out from their side, which I think is good because you just need that team fight initiator. You need that hyper aggression to come out for the other members of your team to respond and try to help you in the fight. And that was just absolutely amazingly done by Mars.
You're absolutely right, Saf. The key to skirmishing. You're not always the person that finishes a fight, but you're certainly going to be the person that starts it. And Mars has been that for Sydney this entire time. They've been going in, picking great fights, and the whole thing is they're allowing their team to capitalize off of their movement in their plays. Their team can come in and finish off those picks. They can finish what Mars started, and that's what's important for your skirmishers. They're not going to necessarily be the ones with the flashy KDs at the end of the game, but they're going to be the ones that made those key plays possible, and that's what we're seeing time and time again out of Mars. But now we're going to be getting ready, going into Wahoo Splat Zone, Staff. Not a map we see every day. Tell me about your feelings on this one.
I'm thinking of Punny, and I'm thinking of their Zipcaster, Toma, because you do have that little pole in the middle now with splat zones, and it's great for Tri-Strike as well. Don't get me wrong, you kind of nail it, and then an immediate explosion in the middle, and especially when you have 3 of those in your pocket, I mean that can be recipe for disaster and taking the zone really quick. But I'm just thinking about all of the aggression and the distraction power that Punny can have here for Manila. But looking on over to Sydney, though, I mean, having Link on that slosher is absolutely crucial, and especially with the amount of reach that they have, and if you have Mars once again picking up those Tetra Dualies, I mean, again, like, you have to be very careful about trying to pick your fights here with Sydney, and I think Manila knows that at this point here going into Game 4.
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of opportunity to get around and to be able to kind of flank in on this map. If you're not paying attention to, that little carousel area underneath, people can easily slip through that, kind of pop up and surprise you on your glass, or if that's moving, they can come all the way behind you on that ramp, long ramp as well. So I love to see the interesting and fun gameplay that comes out of here, and it can be especially devastating if you let someone, one of the faster paced weapons like Tiger on that 52 or Mars on that Tetris behind you, and the rest of their team can kind of just pincer in on you. That's definitely something you want to avoid happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I do want to note here is we do have a sub coming in for the side of Sydney Cyclones. We have Kiz Haas, who was playing with us previously. We have Kojuke coming in. Kojuke, you're going to have to correct me, stream team, if I said the name wrong, and I apologize if I did. But they're going to be coming in, subbing in, and is the anchor, the typical anchor for the Sydney Cyclones here, Toma. They play a really mean ballpoint, but sometimes they like to pick up Stamper as well. So, could their Stamper maybe contest Punny's Stamper? That's another question that we could have answered in a few seconds here.
You know, I think we both are always fans of seeing those mirror matchups happen. I'd love to see that, but we're definitely going to see, I think ballpoint probably what we're going to see come out here. I think it has great pain, especially in that short range firing mode. And as always, in such a small condensed zone, I think Inkjet is really valuable because even if you're not hitting those directs, you're going to be chipping anybody who's in that zone. And yes, we do see that ballpoint come out. We see of course, Pani there on that signature damper, and Saf, we're going to be getting into this, seeing as they charge out into mid how these initial fights for this zone are going to go, and we can already see Mars kind of down there in that sneaky area, maybe looking for a little bit of a pincer as they open, and it looks like Saf, they are able to find one. Sydney going to take early control of the zone thanks to that wonderful flank from Mars.
Yeah, Mars having a really good open for Sydney here. Unfortunately, going down to Bread there with the Crab Tank online. Tiger going to be jumping in, taking Link down in the process while protecting the jump as well. Manila looking to take the zone right here, although with the Inkjet following up, 2 members going down, 1 member responding back in on the side of Sydney here. Mars trying to come around the corner here and trying to help out with the fight, the wipeout occurring on Manila. That zone going back into Sydney's favor now. These members are pushed up, Toma. They are going to be taking this platform space here. Those tri-strikes are coming out towards the spawn area. Zalf is kind of delayed here, but with that tri-zuka in their pocket and 2 members down, this is Manila's moment to try to flip the tides.
Yep, they definitely are going to try to get in here. They're going to be taking this zone by storm. Going to be moving in here now. Punny with that stamper going to be creating a lot of pressure there on the side. Maybe looking to see if they can get a sneaky flank in too. But 1 or 2, I believe, go down there to the Zuka from Zalf, making a excellent play there, now giving Manila the opportunity to try to move forward. Sydney's going to use those tri-strikes to get back into the zone, not before Manila takes the lead, though, finally using that wonderful combination of the Ink Jet and the Reef Slider to take control of zone once again, and now they've got 2 down on Manila. They've got that slosher too underneath that ledge. That's a really key position for them, Saf. If you can defend that ledge as a slosher, not allow your opponents out, that'll be really good, especially as they're already through their penalty. Going to be working on extending a lead here now, Staff.
Yeah, and I think with Coach having that ball point in their pocket as well, they're doing an excellent job of trying to defend the front end here, but Manila being able to take them down with a strong force here, Toma. Now that zone is going to be in their possession. There's still plenty of time, though, for this zone to be flipping back and forth here, but these tri-strikes coming out from Link are absolutely crucial. Just so quick into taking the zone back immediately for Sydney right now, and especially with the follow-up fight coming in from Lummy as well. I mean, this aggression has been really hard for Manila to try to combat.
Yeah, and Link able to get a nice pick there with the slosher, gets a double there, gonna be able to defend this zone potentially if they can just find the pick on Punny, but Punny finds the pick on them and now has this zip caster out. Gonna be moving, finds the jump as well, Saf. That's gonna be huge for Manila to try to get in here, get this zone cap, just that ballpoint up, gonna be providing some jumps for Sydney back in, and they're definitely going to be taking advantage of that, moving fast to see if they can reclaim this zone before Manila has the opportunity to take the lead. They're going to be using those tri-strikes and this Ink Jet to try to get in. They're able to take out the Tiger on that 52, and they're able to get a lot of pressure here. The Zuka takes out 1, and now you've got Bread on that Crab to defend. They're going to be able to paint over, but not for long, because that Reef Slider is going to be moving in, trying to paint that zone, but still Manila holds on to it, Saf.
This is unreal, Toma. The back and forth that we had from the overhead spec cam was absolutely insane. I mean, the back and forth fighting that you have Self coming in with the triple here on the side of Manila, with 3 members trying to respawn back in here. I mean, the firefight back and forth was absolutely astonishing because Sydney was so close to keeping that zone recapped, but Manila just had a strong hold, and especially with that triple coming in from Zalf as well, this could be the lockout situation for Sydney.
Yeah, they don't have too much time to work with if they want to hold their lead, because right now it looks like that lead is going to flip. They're going to be breaking back in here, making a shot and contesting the zone. They've got it neutralized. They're able to cap it in their favor, but now 40 seconds left on this clock. They need to move and get the picks that they need to stay alive, but look at this. Punny gets a double. Punny gets the triple. This is a bad situation right now for Sydney, and it's everything you want to see for Manila. Getting a pick as well on that Jet Saf, and they're going to be working through their penalty here, almost through it. May be able to extend a lead a little bit further. Don't know if there's enough time left on this clock to be able to get the knockout, but you've got to move now if you're Sydney to try to take control of this zone. Mars is here trying to do that, but two of their team members are down. They're able to neutralize the zone, but not able to cap it, Saf. And that, I believe, is going to bring us now to a 2-2 tie with Manila taking that game.
All I have to say, Toma, is one word. Honey! Oh my goodness. That team wipeout almost, the team soft wipe was absolutely incredible and crucial, might I add, especially with that final inkjet fight that we got to see a little bit ago as well. I mean, that is exactly what they needed, Toma. That was exactly what they needed, and it just led to a snowballing like no other for the side of Manila. They gotta keep that up.
Absolutely, and yeah, I mean, you said about that Stamper before this game started that you wanted to see that come out, that this is a great map for it, and Punny showing it. You're absolutely right. Those picks were absolutely key, Saf, for their victory there. Without them there, and without Sydney being denied space to that zone, that game could have very well ended differently than it did. This was huge for them, but now we're going to be waiting, seeing what they're going to be counter picking on the side of Sydney. They definitely have to turn some cogs, think about what they want to do. You're in this 2-2 scenario, and this is a best of 9, Sav, so whoever takes this next game is going to be setting themselves up in a really good spot, going up 3. It's the first to 5 that's going to be, so you know, inching ever closer. You really want to make sure that you're making the right choice here, and it looks like they're going to be choosing to go to TC Museum.
Yeah, Tower Control Museum, Toma. I mean, that's a great choice. I have my ticket ready. I mean, I know you and I love the concessions here that the museum provides. Excellent amenities and acoustics, might I add, as well in the parking lot here. But heading over for tower control, Toma, one crucial thing to remember is that second checkpoint is going to be where the fight will snowball, because as soon as you get it up to that plat and you're able to infiltrate the enemy plat, I mean, that's recipe for disaster. It could be all over for you if the wrong moves are taken.
Absolutely, you've got to play it so carefully there. We've seen, I know, Saf, time and time again, we're so familiar with these map modes and the way that they play out, and you're absolutely right. After that second checkpoint, we've just seen things kind of steamroll from there for whichever team has control. So you've got to be super duper careful to not let them into your plat, and I'm very scared right now. You've got to watch out for Punny. You've got to be careful for them, because if they kind of sneak in, and they're very sneaky stuff, and they can get around you, we've seen them just get those triples, those team wipes. You've got to be so careful for that. And same on the other side for Mars. You know, a Tetra up in your base in Museum is the last thing you want to happen. Is you really don't want to spawn into that fight, have it kind of just dodge roll around you, take away your spawn armor, and then you're just dead before you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what makes this so fun, Toma, is that both teams have such aggressive and ready to fight players that you just get to see impressive plays back to back here. But now we're loaded in, we're ready to go. We're coming into the museum, tickets in hand, admission is here. We're having a really nice day here, Toma, going into game number 5. What are you seeing in these comps here? We have similarities, obviously, but some good things nonetheless.
Yeah, pretty similar comp coming out from the side of Sydney. I think it's actually the same as they had previously, but worth noting now we have Bread actually trading off the Splash, opting to bring in this Tri-Slosher Nouveau, which is going to give them a cooler of their own, and one that's a very aggressive weapon, I may also add. It really makes use of those fizzy bombs to try to create lots of pressure in space, be able to move in with them, and I think it's really great too around all these ledges and around Spinner to be able to just kind of shoot up and over and create pressure where, you know, maybe a shooter wouldn't be as great at doing so.
Yeah, wow, Toma, that Zipcaster coming from Punny from escaping that Booyah Bomb, I mean, that was a near miss. Near miss there for Punny. This tower, though, being moved right now by Sydney. We're going into the plat right now. We're looking towards and forward to that second checkpoint. You have Bread taking the trade off the tower. 2 versus 2 situation here, but Mars being able to push Tiger into this corner here. Absolutely crucial for Sydney right now, as they are going to be breaking through to this second checkpoint. But you have the members of Manila quickly on response here. You have Punny coming up, taking the fight here. They are almost down themselves, but they are taking that distraction away from the objective right now, especially with only 2 members of Sydney now being alive. This push could potentially be stopped here.
Yeah, it looks like just the one-up situation there going to be, you know, good for Manila to be able to turn this around and stay alive here in this game. They're going to be creating a lot of pressure, but Punny finally going down to that ball point, slapping from the side of Kojuk there, creating an excellent defense on the side of Sydney. I love this weapon, love to see it played. And right now, kind of fights happening there on the plat. You saw some people coming up, but no control of the tower yet from Manila, which they definitely need to do before they start moving too far up into the plat of Sydney. And right now, they're getting some good picks. They have 3 down on Sydney. This may be their opportunity. They just need to get rid of Mars. They are able to do so, and now this is their opportunity to get ahead of this tower, create some space for it to arrive here at this second checkpoint and break through. But we already see Link there with that Booyah Bomb. We know that's going to be forcing them off the tower itself, just barely going down, still in the radius of that. Bread going to be seeing if they can inch out the lead there. They are able to do so, and see if they can kind of dance for long enough to be able to take the checkpoint, and it looks like they just are barely going to miss that, Sap. So the next time that they're through there, they're going to have to restart that checkpoint from the beginning.
Wow, okay. The lead coming in from Manila here was absolutely big. I mean, Bread being able to stay on that tower even just for another second longer, putting them at a 10-point advantage here above Sydney. Sydney still having a player disadvantage right now, Toma. I mean, the fights right now from Manila are being won and held in their favor, as you can see, 1 member jumping out. But as I say that, 2 members of Manila getting taken out. They're forcing a jump out as well. But 1 fight still trying to be taken by Tiger up there, but unfortunately they go down as well here. So Sydney is looking to try to get these points to reverse back into their favor right now, Toma, and especially with Booyah Bomb and Cooler to be coming out as this push gets initiated here. We just need to see that second checkpoint fall before we can see Sydney make some more progress. And with 2 members of Manila going down, can they do that? But Manila being able to push the tower and to just kind of keep it at bay. It's going to be a matter of who wins these fights, and it's looking like it could be Sydney.
Yeah, it's definitely what it looks like at the moment. 3 down, just Tiger. That's going to be the full wipeout. Now Sydney definitely going to be able to flip this lead here, going to be able to break this second checkpoint. Stop 2 down on Manila. This is where we said you have to be careful. It can really snowball here, but Punny getting a nice pick. Mars follows up though and is able to get them down. You still have the man advantage on the side of Sydney. You've got these jump-ins. They're moving so fast. Mars is already ready in here to take fights once again, but so is Manila. They're just moving forward as fast as they can to try to stop this tower from moving forward, Sap. But this Reef Slider may allow Mars to be able to get some pressure in there. Going to be finding a pick onto Punny. Going to be falling back, finding the pick onto Tiger as well. 2 down. Now all they have to do is break through this final checkpoint, and it's almost there, Sap. They're going to be using that Booyah Bomb to try to stall out some time itself, getting a great pick onto the tower Ryder there. Now Bread back out once again to gonna be trying to figure out where the remaining members of Sydney are so that they can flush them out. They've got to be super duper careful. 10 seconds left in this game stop. They have to have somebody on that tower, but now it's retreating back into mid into Sydney's color. It's gonna be hard for them to find a way out there. Punny gonna be taking that fight, going down to Link, and they're not gonna be able to reach the tower in time, Saf.
Wow, okay, so the Cooler plus Mars is the successor here coming out from Sydney, Toma. At least in this matchup, that was the primary thing that I was seeing. I mean, as soon as Mars was taken out, they were immediately back in. It was like the blink of an eye. They were back into the game, and that, I think, could have been the nail in the coffin there for Manila, because they were brave to just keep on taking trades and taking fights that they knew that they could take, and they were fine with feeding, and that Cooler allows you to feed. It gives you the option to feed, and Mars is more than comfortable with doing that, and they are dang successful at it.
Absolutely, Saf. And yeah, I love seeing the aggression from both of these teams. Even, like the ballpoint is splatling in a much more aggressive position than you would typically expect to see out of an anchor player. So they're even making sure that they're not holding the team back, that they're not being too slow for the rest of the comp, which is a really great thing to see an anchor player do. It really shows awareness of the objective of their win condition and what they need to do to fight well with their team. Saf, because they're always far enough forward, they're always able to use that short range fire mode, put down some paint for the players that they have on their team moving forward. It's absolutely great coordination that we're seeing time and time again. And Manila now going to be submitting their counter pick. It looks like actually maybe not yet. Looks like there might be a little bit of no, they're good. They know we're going to be going to Clam Blitz Mako Mart, Saf.
They were thinking about it. You kind of have to, you gotta mull it over a little bit. I mean, maybe they thought that they forgot their membership card. Because, I would have liked to assume that Mako Mart is kind of like a Sam's Club or a Costco. It's kind of an intermix of the two. So they really needed to make sure that they had their membership card, or else they wouldn't be able to get in. But with Clam Blitz, Toma, I mean, we're making Clam Chowder this evening. This is the first time we are seeing Clam Blitz here. We are on a game number 6. We're on game 6, and we are now seeing Clam Blitz. So this is where the gameplay can get really robust, and you can kind of make a lot of different things work in your favor. So, what's kind of your thoughts, predictions, hopes, and dreams, if you will?
Well, I definitely hope that I see Bread stay on that Tri-Slosher Nuvo, right? I think that this, of all maps, is a excellent Tri-Slosher map, Sav. Being able to kind of poke around all of the ledges on this map, making sure to be able to take control of stack as well is so important. I think Tri-Slosher is a weapon that does that very, very well. The fizzy bombs on them as well provide paths forward for your team, chip damage, pressure, whatever they need. It's a very flexible weapon, and of course, the Cooler, Saf. We've seen the Cooler come into clutch time and time again on the side of Sydney, so I definitely think Manila can use that to their advantage, and it can definitely be great, especially for your power clam holder. If they have that extra little bit of speed, that extra bit of momentum, they may be able to dunk a clam where they otherwise might get splatted.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be very important to be watching who is going to be positioned on those stacks there, and especially if you have that Inkjet support coming out from either side, it's going to be absolutely crucial to see where that high ground is going to be taken by said Inkjet here. But I mean, both teams are kind of readying up quicker and quicker as we move through these games right now, Toma. So, I mean, we are antsy for this win, and especially right now, going into Mako Mart, I hope you have your shopping carts ready. Let's get into it.
Yeah, and we actually do see the switch out of the ballpoint, had a sub come in with that shot instead for that nice extra paint and that Zuka on the side of Sydney. As far as what we see on Manila, pretty much most of the same is what we're going to be seeing rolling out from them. We actually have Bread now. Instead of on the Tri-Slash-Nuvo, they're going to be bringing out this Inzap, another great option for paint control, and of course the great option of the cooler that we see. But right now, both teams kind of just going to be fighting it out. As we like to say, Saf, you know, Clam Blitz is a little bit of team deathmatch until you can find the right picks and all the clams that you need to be able to formulate your push.
Yeah, and right away here, I mean, most of Manila getting taken down here, but no follow-up really to be had from the side of Sydney going in here. Link getting a nice pick off of Punny before Punny could really get set up. Bread trying to look for a fight here, but unfortunately being pushed out, even with follow-up coming out from that Trizuka. And Toma, one thing I'd really like to note there, as the Trizuka gets an excellent double pick there, taking the clam holder out, with the cooler now being in response from Manila here. Looks like actually we're going to be getting our first pop in, but I want to take note that there are 2 V-shots and 2 N-zaps in this game, Toma, and 1 per team. V-shot really not being a typical thing, I feel like, that we see here that much, but it seems like Trizuka has kind of become a little bit more fluid in its use during this competitive days that we've been in right now. But both teams here still trying to look in to get a break onto this basket right now, but both being successful in taking their proper fights, as we have Sydney breaking into the basket first.
Yes, and now they're going to be trying to follow up, but they don't have too many clams at the ready. Are able to dunk in a few, bringing their score down to 62. You got Kizdas there in a fight, able to throw some clams in between and still find the pick, find a double, actually make that going to be able to extend that basket open and give their team time to get back in with some more clams. Now Mars is there underneath there, but Bread spots them out, able to take them down. But do they see? Do they see behind them? But no, the Tri-Slosher not going to be able to get those clams to connect with the basket in time. That could have been really dangerous. I believe they had 6 clams there. That definitely would have took down that score a lot more. But luckily for Manila, those clams fell just a little bit short.
Yeah, and now here with Manila, even though with 2 members down, we are able to get that basket popped once again here. But you have Punny on the Zipcaster here looking to see if they can take some fights, some distraction. Unfortunately, they do go down, and you have Bread trying to follow up with a few more clams. But I think that that is going to stop Manila's push at the 68, unfortunately. Even with Tiger trying to come in here and trying to rush in to maybe look and take a fight or 2 on their side, but unfortunately goes down to Kizhaz here on the side. The Trizuka going to come out and try to apply some pressure, taking Tiger down, and you have that Inkjet as well in the middle. 2 members going down on Manila here. Manila's got to be watching their footing here, Toma. They got to be watching where these fights are going to be had.
Yes, you definitely do. Mars going to be able to get behind, kind of distract the defense of Manila, keeping them occupied over there on the left-hand side, but they are able to take Mars down, able to break back into mid now, try to find some more picks, but Mars, of course, getting one more before going down themselves. Again, we see Mars just kind of taking those trades time and time again, but that's perfectly fine if you're Sydney right now at this moment. So the pressure's on Manila. They need to get in here. They need to open this basket and get some scores in, but now just them and that machine up. They're gonna have to wait for their team to kind of respawn, regroup, and kind of reassess what's going on here, especially as Sydney's taking more and more space thanks to that Tri-Slosher getting some great picks on attacking those stacks, as we said before. I absolutely love that weapon here, and Mars, of course, can be following up with the pressure that their team makes to get some more picks.
Yeah, and Mars trying to kind of lure some of the members of Manila kind of back away from the objective there, Toma, a little bit. But Manila is going to be back on track as they get that cooler out, so they have that quick respawn in their pocket. You have Bread trying to follow up with a power claim here. They're able to break the basket open at the 64 mark, but with 2 members going down, you do have Punny having that Zipcaster online as well, but just not really having the support they need to try to take these fights. But with 3 members of Sydney going down here, I mean, they were able to delay that basket just long enough for it to get closed, but they got it. Sydney's got to be really careful about taking these trades in the last few seconds here, Toma. They really don't want to lose this lead.
No, they definitely do not, and you've got to play this carefully if you're Manila too. You know, you have one more chance at opening this basket, and you gotta sink enough clams to be able to take the lead. They do have 2 power clams online though, which is gonna be good. They've got that Booyah Bomb out to create that space. Punny trying to move forward, it gets picked. That's huge for Sydney, who now just has to defend these 2 power clams sitting here on the ground. Saf, as this overtime tanker is ticking down, and the final clam breaks. That is going to be Sydney taking that game, and Saf, they are taking this set to match point.
Wow, Toma, I mean, Sydney is so good, so good at utilizing a man advantage that they have. As soon as Manila finds themselves at a disadvantage, whether they're 1 down or 2 down, that is when Sydney decides to strike and when their most opportune time to strike. And they played that so excellently in this Clan Blitz match.
Absolutely. But Saf, now this is where the pressure really starts, because you're now, if you're Manila, right, you're down 2-4, you're at match point. You've got to win the rest of this games to take back this set. We know it's possible, Saf. We know it's possible because Manila beat Sydney in week 1 in a really close set, 4-3 to there. So the question is, can they do it again? I know that the people have talked about this on other other orgs all the time. We've talked about how hard it is when you're facing a rematch with a team. It rarely goes the same way the second time, or at least not nearly as easily so, Saf, because they fought you before. They know what to expect. And we've seen that from Sydney. They know how Manila plays. They've fought them early in this season. They've definitely been watching them throughout the season. And if you're on the side of Manila, right, Sydney's changed quite a bit the way that they play since the beginning of this season. So you're still definitely trying to adapt to that new play style that they're bringing out. And now your time to adapt is over. You've got to win these next games. It's really important that you win this pick. And they're going to be going to TC Inkblot. They've been doing really, really good on TC. So I think that's an excellent pick for them, Saf, and they have to do everything that they can to stay alive. What changes, what do you want to see happen here to keep them alive in this set, Saf?
The most important thing to me, Toma, with this map mode combination is who takes the bats first. And I say it over and over again, but it is absolutely true. There's a formula to this, Toma. Taking the bats and positioning the bats in, if you don't know what that is, it's that area immediately out of spawn to your right, and it's the long L-shaped area right above the platform where the mushroom is. A lot of garble jargon being thrown at you here, but the key positioning here with this game, Toma, is going to be that position there. And especially when you get that tower to that second checkpoint, that is where that team fight is really going to be important, because that flanking position is always going to be where the advantage comes in for the team that has to prevent the tower from moving forward. And so with both teams being as aggressive as they have been, especially with using that Trizuka as well, Trizuka being really good here to get up onto those higher platforms if you're kind of lower to the ground, or by stacks as well, that's going to be really good for you. And if you can bring that aggression into that area as the team is spawning in, I mean, smooth sailing for that tower. It's hasta la vista, baby.
Absolutely, Saf, and we're going to be loading into this match here now, seeing what they're bringing to the table. You know, right now Sydney looking to close it off here. They don't want any momentum to slip away from them. We see a pretty standard comp for what they've been bringing out. We see the return of their Kraken user there, and on the side of Manila, I believe this may be the first time that we've seen them break out this ballpoint, maybe hoping that a little bit of extra range can give them that pressure that they need to find success here.
Yeah, using that inkjet on the stacks is going to be really crucial, and especially really good for clearing some space. The team fight, though, the firefight kind of happening in mid, only that ballpoint being the last alive. You have the 96 on the side of Sydney being able to position on this tower, but with those jumps coming in, they feel safe to try to get on that Kraken. And as I'm saying that, Toma, that Kraken immediately beelined it for that bats area, and they are there, and their mates are there to help them as well. You can see Mars is up there with MGG as well to try to take these fights up onto the platform area, but that tower is not moving anymore. There's nobody to be on that tower because those fights are being had on that plat area. So Manila going to be taking this tower and trying to make a response of their own.
Yeah, it's successful defense there from Manila, not letting that second checkpoint slip away from them. Zal finding a great pick onto Mars, as well as now they're going to be starting their offense here on this first checkpoint. Forced to back off from that bomb, but he needs to get back on, but they're going to be waiting out the Booyah Bomb as well. Don't want to lose any members from too hasty of a push. Finally, now this Inkjet in a great position to be contesting the plat. You've got the, the Zipcaster out as well, but they need to get somebody on the tower on the side of Manila. It looked like they popped two specials when the other two went down. A little bit of unfortunate timing there, but they're back here now, Saf. They're regrouped, ready to re-attempt this first checkpoint. They are able to find the pick on Lumi. They're able to break the first checkpoint as well. Going to be riding around here on this pole, seeing if they can edge out the lead here. Brad's going to be getting on there, going to be their objective rider. They're able to get the lead, Saf, but now just Punny alive. Gonna go down, gonna give Sydney now an opportunity to take mid, make a break at this second checkpoint, see if they can get lead for themselves.
Yeah, and it looked like Manila didn't really have much mid control to begin with there to get that lead flipped over, so that's absolutely crucial, Toma. But with right here, it was very uncontested for Sydney to get the tower around this little wall here and past the first checkpoint area. So close to that second checkpoint, but with Zalf being there and Tiger to follow up, they're able to get some more ink down in the mid area and to move that tower back into mid. So a lot of times when that tower keeps going, sometimes even just tapping it to keep it in the area or into the general direction that you want to go can be beneficial here. But with both teams being so aggressive, and oh my gosh, an excellent whale there coming out from Tiger, absolutely crucial. Going to be having 3 members down of Sydney here, getting this tower moving here. This could be a snowbally thing here, as you can see right now, Toma. They are in the bats area. Manila holding that bats area, and especially with Bread being able to push up with that inkjet, with Punny on the Zipcaster in the corner there as well. This could be very detrimental for Sydney.
Oh my gosh, even Bread finding a great pick under pressure there, and now the full wipeout onto Sydney. Manila showing that they are still alive in the set as this tower is going to cruise right into the knockout, Saf. What an impressive game there played by Manila. They knew their counter pick very well. A little bit of a scary beginning where neither team really was able to edge it too much up that ramp. But once Manila got those specials in, once they took control of those bats, exactly like you said, Saf, it was over from there. Manila doing such a great job on that lockout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, oh my goodness, the Zipcaster coming out from Punny as well. That distraction factor that you have, because if you just take your eyes off of the objective, Toma, it can be so crucial for the team pushing the tower to just get a few more points on the board. And Manila had it in the bag as soon as that second checkpoint fell, and as soon as you had Bread moving up into that bats area, I mean, it was game over for Sydney. And Manila is down, but they are absolutely not out, as they are going to take us to a 3-4 scenario. They need to win 2 more games to try to take home the title here, but Sydney Cyclones once again is still looking for their last win to also take the gold.
Absolutely. I think that ballpoint was kind of what they needed. The inkjet was really beneficial to them. Bread was able to use that really well, get into great positions to help them out there. I think the range, absolutely a great choice there. But now they're gonna have to be really careful here, right? Because not only do they have to win 2 more games, but if they're gonna take the set, they have to win 2 more games on Sydney's counter picks, and that can be a hard thing to do, Saf. You've got to really make sure that you're adapting your comps well, because of course on these counter picks, these teams are going to pick the maps that they're most familiar with, that they're strongest with. So you are going into, you know, a little bit of a visitor's disadvantage if you're going into another team's counter pick. But it looks like we're going to be going into splat zones on Mako Mart, Saf.
All right, back to the market we go. We forgot a few things to make for dinner tonight, Toma. We forgot a few things, so we gotta go back. But we're gonna be only staying in one aisle. We're hanging out in the produce aisle. One of my favorite callouts in this entire game being not only breakfast, but also melons being a key position to get set up on if you are a long-range weapon. Or even an Explosher, might I add. Taking the stack is good as Explosher as well, but being able to also take it from the side area can be really beneficial here. We do have not seen any Explosher gameplay here this evening, but would be interesting if that type of change was made. But I'm more so curious here. Looking ahead, we have Kizaz still staying in the game here. I was wondering maybe if Sydney was going to switch out Kojuk and to see their E-Leader gameplay, because that's yet to be seen, but it seems the chatters with us here tonight, Toma, really want to see that E-Leader.
Yeah, and you know, I'm always an E-Leader fan. I'm also always an Explo fan. They're two of my favorite weapons to play, and I think that they're both really, really strong on this map. And I'm gonna have to revisit this for just a second because it's so funny. I love that other people use the call out melons, because I use melons and my team stares at me like, what in the world do you mean? And I'm like, you know, like the little ramp on the side, like with the melon. They're like, no, and I'm like, come on,
Like
it's called melons, people. Called melons. So I'm so glad to hear that I am not crazy, and that is in fact the same term that other people use.
Yep, absolutely. Melons has been a popular call out since Splatoon 2, in fact, and I hope it's here to stay. But looking ahead here, I'm looking forward to this Splat Zones game, Toma, because both teams have put up a pretty excellent fight in the Splat Zones world, especially with having that ballpoint coming out. A lot of space to be cleared. Stack's going to be really crucial to take here, especially as the ballpoint and as the Splatling with the further range. You want to be taking that left platform, or that left stack, pardon me, as soon as you possibly can to kind of hold that down and to provide jumps back into the map here. But looking ahead here, once again, Sydney is not going to opt for a backline, but you are going to have Bread from Manila holding onto that ballpoint Splatling. And as we say it, there they are kind of up on that left side there, trying to maintain a little bit of space to give Tiger to move around here. But with the cooler being popped out for Sydney, there's not quite enough momentum there for them to get that juice in. So Manila is going to be flipping this early lead here, having all four members up, and they are going to have a really strong hold on mid as of this point, Toma.
Yeah, absolutely, and a wipeout that early into the game absolutely going to be huge for Manila to get set up and try to create this lockout scenario. You can see that they've already taken down the Tri-Slosher on the side of Sydney. Kizhazi are trying to use this Zuka to find a way back in, and actually does find a pick onto the other Zuka user. Going to create some space for Sydney as this timer is ticking down. Sap, they've got to make a move at this zone. They've got two down on Manila, are going to be able to neutralize and flip it, but 34 definitely a huge first push from the side of Manila. But now we see the full wipeout happen to Manila, and this is going to be Sydney's opportunity to really get forward and create some space for their players and for their team to lock Manila out. And that's what they've got to do if they want to be successful here, Saf. You don't want this game to continue to go back and forth. You want to end it as soon as possible, and they're doing a great job keeping Manila staggered at the moment. But now both one down, losing Mars there as well, but it looks like they may be coming close to flipping this lead. They're able to pick off Honey, but the Zune is neutralized. They need to tap it back over into their favor, which they are able to do, and they're able to take the lead. Not before going two down, though. Manila able to retake control of this zone, but they've got to work through this penalty and get lead back, Saf.
Yeah, and I think too, with having Bread being able to take the stack from Sydney is going to be absolutely huge here. They have so much range to hold on to that right side there to prevent any sort of infiltration to come from that right side. You have the Killer Whale coming out, some displacement going on there. Mars going to take the fight from South. They're trying to break into the mid section, and especially having that that Inkjet as some help, they're able to reef slide in and to flip this zone back into Sydney's favor. However, with two of them going down and Manila being able to follow up quickly here with an Inkjet, that zone is going to quickly flip back into Manila's favor, and especially with Tiger taking out a trade there and taking almost another fight from Lumi. I mean, Manila's got to just hold on tightly to flip this lead back into their hands, Toba.
Lumi does have this cooler online, though, to give their teammates some buffs and some movement getting in here to try to retake this zone, especially as it's ticking down and you're about to eat your penalty and find the lead for Manila. But look here, Sav, they may stop this by 1 point, and they're able to do so. They're able to hold on to their lead by 1 point. They're now collapsing in there on Punny, able to take them down. 3 down scenario for Manila. Sydney taking mid back by storm, and now they're going to be working through this penalty really fast, Saf. And if you are Manila, this could be dangerous territory if you can't find your way back in, especially since on the side of Sydney they are coolered up, so if they go down they'll be back in really fast. Kiss has here getting this Inkzuka online, trying to pop it there in the face of Tiger, but Tiger taking them down. Mars trying trying to see if they can follow up on that, but not able to successfully do so. That's going to flip zone back in Manila's favor. They don't have too much penalty to work through, so very possible that we could see a lead switch happen here on the side of Manila. They just need to stay up. Losing that ball point, though, could be big. Losing the T-Tech now, too. And we're going to see Sydney once again just stop Manila right before the lead flip. And Saf, you've got to be careful. You did not want to wipe out there. Sydney now put in a great position to just move up here. They just need to stall as much time off this zone timer as they possibly can. They're going to be eating through this penalty and extending their lead here.
Yeah, wow, Toma. I mean, the teamwork coming out from Sydney here to hold on to this zone is absolutely crucial there. You had the Inkjet coming out, but then you had the team fight being taken, forcing someone into a 2v1 situation. Manila is absolutely staggered trying to come back into the zone area here with the, oh my gosh, the Ingzuka strike being absolutely crucial. And one thing I want to point out, Toma, I mean, Lumi being in that zone. I mean, they were the MVP for me, Toma, because they kept the zone painted throughout the entire time that Sydney had the advantage through the game. That zone was never not yellow until Manila was able to get a man advantage and push back into the zone, because Lumi always kept it painted. And that is also why that Sydney was constantly juiced up, constantly being able to be into the map, constantly being able to take fights successfully. And so, with that being said, you have the Sydney Cyclones coming out on top here, taking us into 8 games down, moving on to the final round.
Absolutely incredible. And Saf, this is coming back from week 1 where Sydney lost to Manila in week 1 of the league, being able to come back and show like, hey, we are not the same team that you faced in week 1. We've got what it takes to face off in grand finals. Absolutely brilliant there. And you know exactly what you said about Lumi too. Really great gameplay. Not only were they able to keep that paint down, but they were able to really use control to get those coolers too and keep their team alive in the game, give them those buffs, make sure that when they did go down that they would be back really fast. And that was absolutely crucial to Sydney just getting back in and taking those zones.
Yeah, and actually, Toma, we are going to be able to talk with the members of Sydney Cyclones here in just a moment. We have everybody jumping in to the cast and the voice chat with us. The members of Sydney Cyclones, I'm pretty sure, feeling pretty good about this win coming into here with us now. Reminder that we have Mars, Lummy, Link, Kojuke, His Has, and oh, pardon me, GJ as well. Wow, JGGJ, it's all the same thing to me here. Welcome in the Sydney Cyclones. Man, oh man, you guys must be feeling some adrenaline coming off of that win.
For sure. For sure.
Absolutely. And so I'm gonna just ask a few questions. We'll start with you, and I'm so sorry if I'm gonna butcher your name, Kojuk, but y'all actually faced Manila in week 1, went down there 4-3. So how does it feel to kind of come back in this semifinals set and be able to prove yourself?
It feels so good. Oh my goodness gracious me. Let's freaking go.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating because we were also like having a really good momentum, and then we made like a tiny little error at the end which like cost us the game with that like honey jump in, and then we were just like, oh, are you joking?
Not this time. Not this time.
Yeah, not this time. Not this time.
Absolutely, a huge win here for y'all. Going into Grands, Saf, I'm gonna throw it over to you, see what questions you have up in your arsenal.
Yeah, Mars, I gotta know what you're cooking with. Oh my goodness,
Wait,
the amount of fights that you were taking throughout this evening was absolutely astounding, and there was never a time where I didn't see you in that map. And so I just gotta know, kind of, just give me a little synopsis, like where did this aggression come from, and how do you keep it going?
Well, there's 2.4 star like named with QR, so that's one thing. And I don't know, I just take a lot of fights and I just try to like open things up a bit so that I get more things to just try to get picks.
Mars is so good, bro.
My brain is so fried.
Mars is cracked. Correct.
The positive skirmisher.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna move on to Link next. So, during all these counter picks, right? We never saw Rainmaker come out. Could you give us a little bit of insight onto that? What your team's strengths are? Why you didn't necessarily want to go to that mode?
Right, so all of the Rainmaker maps that we could pick from, Manila is a very Ninja Squid heavy team, and so we felt like all three of the Rainmaker maps favored Ninja Squid a lot, so we tried to stay away from those. We felt like we had a better time.
Absolutely good logic there. I want to ask Lumi as well. On that NZAP for y'all, most of the time, I understand that y'all really kind of switched up your gameplay mid-season, really starting to favor those coolers. So tell me kind of what's going through your head as you're using that zap, getting that cooler going for your team.
It's more like a cooler can set different tempos like throughout the game. It's like you could play subtly passive, you could suddenly play very aggressive because cooler mitigates the penalty of death. So it gives a lot more options than a lot of people think. It's not just like locking up and feeding, you know. It's more like it's always a guessing game. If they're gonna push up, if they're gonna play for specials, if they're gonna play super defensive, cooler just kind of like allows that tempo change in most games.
Yeah, beautiful. Is super fun to see.
And looking ahead to next week, you guys are going to be playing Melbourne Vortex. Kind of nerves. How are we feeling? I mean, grand finals, you guys. You've come a long way. You've fought your way all the way here now into this grand finals match. I mean, how are you feeling about it? Things to consider.
Melbourne is a super scary team, I won't lie. So it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
They've all got
Melbourne-
really strong players.
We have been
Melbourne's
practicing
the
with them
only-
this week, so
Yeah.
we've
like,
got some.
Yeah, Melbourne's like probably like the team we like did worst against, like in like the what's it called series. But that week I think we were really like under practiced, and like honestly I think we have I don't think the results of that match will represent what happens in grands. Hopefully, I think we've
We've got a new comp now, and I think we've really come together, working so well together.
Yeah, and on that team, on the Vortex, what players are you looking out for specifically? I know that they're super duper scary, but you've been able to get some information on them throughout this season. So if there's like one player or one thing that y'all can do to give yourself an advantage going into grand finals, what is that going to be, and what are y'all going to focus on?
Good question.
Yeah, I think aggression is our main thing, and I think sometimes that team plays quite stally. They have a lot of shooter players, and they have an E-leader / ballpoint player, so I guess we focus on our aggression.
You've been very
Absolutely.
successful about it too. I mean, the amount of team fights that you guys were forcing into your favor was absolutely amazing. I mean, especially I want to shout out Link and Mars working together. I mean, constantly, especially that Clamblitz Makomart match. I mean, constantly seeing Link on the stack and then Mars rolling around to the side to try to flank. The aggression certainly works for you guys, so it's pretty incredible here. But I think that's probably all the questions that we have for you guys. Excellent job this week, and good luck in grand finals next week, you guys. Well deserved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for commentating.
Because-
Absolutely.
go
It's
commentators.
it's such a pleasure for us, especially kind of two people from the NA region who haven't really been able to see too much gameplay from kind of this region of the world. So it's really cool to see exactly what y'all have to offer and bring to the table.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But
OCE
I
rep.
believe that will be doing it for us, Saf. Saf, tell me, where can the great people here on our stream find you?
If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter. That's at Safirea, 2 Ps. 2 A's in that name on Twitter, or in a little less than a month and a half, you can find me at Riptide, back in the U.S. here in Sandusky, Ohio, at the beautiful Kalahari Resort. You can find me there, wandering the streets of Sandusky. Looking forward to Grands next weekend here, Toma. But first and foremost, where can the good people of the Twitch-verse, the YouTube-verse, Splatoon-verse, everywhere find you?
Absolutely. You can find me at Crest of Gautier on Twitter, or here at Twitch at twitch.tv/Toma_. But thank you so much to everybody here. Huge congrats to the Sydney Cyclones, and good luck on your grand finals match next weekend. Everybody, I hope you will all join us back here for the Frostbite League grand finals. It's going to be an amazing matchup to see.